coach. She also works as a navigator at the NHS. But apart from all these roles, she has another niche, and she loves working as a resilience coach. Now, what does a resilience coach mean? So basically, when we are going through a turbulent phase in our life and we feel that we've touched rock bottom, that's where Sister Aisha Ikram comes in. She helps people, supports them, become more emotionally resilient so that they can combat their challenges and bounce back on the surface very, very quickly. So inshallah, let's welcome our guest speaker, Aisha Ikram. Assalamu alaikum, sis.
Walaikum assalam.
And welcome on board.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Jazakallah khair.
Barakallah feek, sis. Lovely to see you, mashallah. How is the weather in London, sis?
It's been raining since today, this morning, and last week was raining as well. But alhamdulillah, you know, it's UK weather, so yeah, we're surviving.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the British weather for you. Yeah, alhamdulillah, it's been raining almost throughout the day at our end in Birmingham as well. But alhamdulillah, there's khair in everything. As they say, whenever it's raining, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rahmah, you know, pouring down. So it's all good. Right,
yes.
Sis. So, alhamdulillah, I've given a brief introduction of you. It would be fantastic if you can explain about the services that you provide in more detail. But before we jump onto that, I'd definitely like to pick a question that have been sent to us by our viewers, and they would like to know whatever that they would like to know about you. I've put them into, I've put pen on the paper. So inshallah, let me select, you know, one of the questions and we take it from there. Yep.
Inshallah,
okay,
yes.
Sis? Bismillah. Okay, so the first question that we have here for you is, okay, so then what made you select emotional resilience as your niche? Yeah, so how can you help your clients as a resilience coach? So that's the first question.
Sure. So first of all, just to clarify, resilience is part of the service that I provide, but I am a transformational coach. A transformational coach doesn't just help people who have hit rock bottom. It works very well for people who are actually going through challenges in their life, and at the same time they want to create something in their life as well. But how transformational coaching is different than any other coaching is because it teaches people the spiritual nature of our thoughts. Okay. You see, we experience everything in our life through the power of our thoughts. And I knew that as being a neuro-linguistic programming coach, as being an expert patient program tutor within the NHS in UK, as being a navigator. But the moment I saw it from a perspective of a true psychological paradigm, that was the time when I saw true change in my own life, and I saw the true nature of resilience. What is the essence of resilience? Resilience is not just sabr. You know, the Urdu translation or Arabic translation of resilience is sabr. That was the first time when I saw how misinterpreted this word is. We just see it from a perspective of when you have a musibah or some calamity is hitting you, that's the only time you see resilience. Resilience is always in action in all human beings, whether we realize it or not, whether you're going through tough times in your life, or if you are very well grounded, happy, you know, and quite satisfied with your life. Resilience is always in action. So this is what I show other people, that how they can embrace this as a positive side, as something which is everyone is born with. But for some reason, due to the trials or struggles of our life, we think that we are losing the resilience, so we are no longer resilient.
So then, sis, if somebody had to come to you and say that I lack resilience, or I'm not really sure if I'm resilient towards the circumstances and situations or the atrocities that life throws on me, how would they be able to identify that they do have resilience? It's just that they need to tap into their internal resources to be able to identify and then exert resilience in the grand scheme of things.
So, subhanallah, I love this question. The thing is, when somebody comes to me and when they say that they are not resilient, first of all, I would ask them, what is it that's making them think that they are not resilient? Let's take, for example, an example of a sister or it could be a brother as well. But I'm just gonna use as a case study for one of the previous clients that I helped her. She had gone through a traumatic background. Her marriage ended on a very unhappy event, and that made her traumatized. She thought in her mind that she has lost resilience, particularly with the subject of marriage. Every time she would think about finding a potential partner to get married, she would have these flashbacks from her memory, and she thought she has been scarred for life.
Yeah.
We only spent one session together, and in that one session, I was able to show her that whatever event that happened in past did not break her. She is whole, she is complete, her spirituality is intact, and this event came in her life just to show her her excellent self. But in the root cause of this problem was her thought about that subject and that event. And every time she wanted to move forward, she would have these excessive thoughts in terms of she might attract the same partner, she might have to go through same problems, and what would happen because she has her children from her previous marriage. So it wasn't just the matter of finding the right partner. She has all these fearful thoughts around everything else around that subject. And when she was able to see that everything is based on that thought, not about the event that happened in the past, she was able to see that insightfully. And you only need to see insightfully once that everything that you are going to achieve in your life or you want to let go in your life is based on that thought. And from previous training, maybe let's say if I were to help her on neurolinguistic programming model, which is an application-based model, I would have done fast phobia cure on that, and then we would have relied on that application-based model, hoping that this model would work, which does. But because she saw this from a true psychological paradigm, which is whatever you think, you feel. So for the fact that she was feeling stress or she was feeling lack of resilience is because she was thinking those lack of resilient thoughts. This is a very, very simple but powerful thing. This is why when I say that you only need to see that insightfully, you don't see this intelligently, because intelligently some people say, oh, we already know that. We are thinking sad thoughts, that's why we are feeling sad. But the problem happens when we associate our sad thoughts, our traumatic thoughts, lack of resilient thoughts with a circumstance instead of the power of the thought. We always have this power 100% of the time within our own mind.
Okay, excellent. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, makes sense. I'll take another question for you.
Sure.
Okay. So the next question is, how long does it take for an individual to become resilient and be able to take charge of their life?
So for this one, I will give you, I'll give you an example from spiritual perspective, because, how many times we have heard that Sahabas, they heard message of Islam, or, they heard Prophet Muhammad ﷺ saying something, and within an instant, their heart changed, and they accepted Islam. Similarly, somebody who was one of the worst sinners, they heard something, a sunnah or a hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and their whole life transformed. How long did it take them? It only took them one message, one insight, and one thought, which helped them changing their entire life. Because when I said earlier, thoughts are spiritual. The reason thoughts are spiritual is we all know that what happens when the action of thought occurs in our mind. We consciously think something, our subconscious mind process that thought, and based on that thought, we act or react, right? But where does this thought come from? No one knows.
Yeah.
The thoughts are only coming from the ether. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as being Muslims, we know that the thoughts are always coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so you only need to act on one insightful thought. And does that mean that the thoughts that are insecure or sinful thoughts, do they also come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The thing is, the thoughts are unpredictable. Some of the thoughts in our mind, they are repetitive thoughts because we haven't learned what to do when the negative thought comes. That's when people think that they are losing resilience. So the nature, and then that takes me to the second point of how long does it take to change someone. If you know the nature of thought, which is thoughts are transient, they come and they go. They never ever stay the same, just like weather system.
Yeah.
How long does it take for you to let the rain go? It's raining in London, right? All I can do is I can wait for the rain to go according to the autocorrective system of the weather. Similarly, the situation or the challenge people are facing, depending on the situation or the challenge they are facing, the thoughts that are coming and going, they go naturally. You don't have to do anything in order to, to come out of that depressive or sad thought. Now, if you want to make a change in your life, thinking is one part, and then creating a strategy is something else. But in order for you to make up your mind that you are ready to change, you only need one insight to move forward.
Okay.
And then you need to create a plan, obviously.
Okay, excellent. So let's take another question, sis. We've got lots of questions for you, sis. People are quite interested in this line of service. Okay.
That's okay.
So what measures do they need to take? So what measures do people need to take in order to combat challenges in their personal as well as professional lives?
So it's a little bit of generic question. So I would like to see, if that person is there who can let us know a bit more specific example, because let's say what measures do you need to take in your professional life?
Yeah.
There's so many things a person might be facing in their professional life. It could be from a toxic workplace to not feeling assertive or confident enough to go after that promotion, right? That's a challenge as well.
Yeah.
Or not being able to make a decision in their personal life. Let's say somebody's living with a abusive partner, right? Husband or wife are abusing each other. How can they protect themselves? So first of all, we have three parts of our beings. We have minds, we have bodies, we have souls.
Yeah.
And when we say the thoughts are spiritual, you need to first of all ensure that nobody has the power to make you feel any less important or, less resilient that you already are. We have already established that. So knowing that and seeing this insightfully is the first thing. The second thing is the challenges that you are facing. Some challenges might require you to seek an expert advice.
Yep.
Or for some challenges, you probably already know when you have less thoughts on your mind, when you know that your partner, despite of the abuse you're going through, you want to come out of that abusive situation, because this is very common with people who are in domestic violence, for example.
Yeah.
Right? In domestic violence situation, no one is asking you to keep yourself be treated like a doormat.
Yeah.
This is your own choice. If you have made up your mind to live with that person, you can still live in a traumatic outside circumstance, but internally you can be at peace and ease because you have made your peace with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with that person.
Yeah.
Now, but that's down to you. But if you want to leave that situation, you do need a strategy. You do need to go out there and ask for support from, let's say if you're in UK, there are safeguards to help people who are in a domestic violence situation. Similarly, if somebody is in an abusive situation at a workplace, I'm helping a sister who is, she's in a very higher up position in her workplace, but she's in a situation where there are two things happening. One thing is her past trauma keeps on coming back into her life, which is making her think that maybe it's her luck, maybe it's her taqdeer, which is why she has to go through in this situation every few years. So I have helped her seeing that her luck has nothing to do with this work situation that she's going through. This is in her own mind that she has made up this thing that because many years ago she was abused, this is why she's being abused again. because she had this victim mindset. So I'm helping her with this victim mindset, that this victim mindset, in the root of this victim mindset is her thoughts. She has to learn to let go of these victimhood thoughts. But at the same time, we are working on creating a strategy to combat this toxic workplace abusive situation. So it's not just sometimes mindset. With the mindset, you do need a solid strategy to find a solution. And for that, she is seeking support from her legal team as well as from mindset perspective from myself. So sometimes you do need support from more than one people, depending on how complex your situation is. And sometimes you only need to just learn to see that it's actually in your head. It's all excessive thoughts that you are thinking from your past or from your childhood or from your previous relationship.
So
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. Sis. Thank you so much. It was a very comprehensive answer. So following up with the same question, how far do you think it would be right to say that people repetitively, unconscious, at an unconscious level, keep, say for example, you gave us an example of the sister who feels that because she had been abused in the past, that's the reason that she keeps on getting abused in the future as well. So how far would it be true to say that it's at an unconscious level or unconsciously she's attracting negative vibes because she's been in a precarious situation before? So that's become, so basically she's familiar with that setting, yeah? So because she's familiar with that setting, she's kind of comfortable with it. Using her coping mechanisms, of course, she's dealt with it. And now whenever she finds somebody who's abusive, that's something that she's known and that's something that she's familiar with. Eventually she falls into the trap again. So it goes back to your mind thinking that, you need to identify and realize that yes, you were in a similar situation before, but it didn't serve you. It wasn't working for you. Yes, it's familiar for you because you'd been in this before, but you survived using your coping mechanisms. And what the coping mechanism does is it makes you feel that you're in a good state. However, it hinders your growth. It doesn't let you become from good and get into a great state of mind, if that helps. So how far would that be true to say that because she's been familiar with the turbulent abusive relationship before, because of that eventually what happens is that she continues to get attracted into similar vibes and ends up into abusive relationships or ends up into people with narcissistic mindset?
Regardless of however far people have gone or however far they have come forward, they only need to in order to come out of something, you only need to see this once, that actually you are the one who is doing this repetitive mode. Let me ask you something from a NLP's perspective.
Yeah.
How long does it take to learn subconsciously to have a phobia, let's say spider phobia, in our mind?
Yeah.
Just one thought, right?
Yeah.
Your subconscious mind only need to catch it once, and then our mind becomes scared of spider. For people who have spider phobia, similarly, you only need to see it once, that actually you are thinking on a never-ending loop of this negative thought.
Yep.
And the moment the brain catches that, you know that in the heart of every problem, this is a thought. And thoughts by nature are transient, and thoughts by nature are unpredictable. You don't need to change your thought. You don't need to try and make it a positive thought. Trying and changing your thought is like you're trying to change the course of the sea, or trying to make a thought positive is like I'm sitting in front of the rain and I'm just doing a positive affirmation. Please stop, please stop. The rain is not going to stop. The rain will stop when the weather will permit the rain to stop. Allah knows when the rain's going to stop. All I can do is I can equip myself if I want to go out, either take an umbrella or I choose to stay indoors. Whatever I do, this is my choice. So when you give this option, this empowering model to the client, that look, even if you have been suffering for 20 years or 30 years or all of your life, even if you're in the midst of this chaotic situation, you have hope. So people, what tends to happen is that people who can see this insightfully, even if they are in abusive situation, their mind becomes calm.
Right.
And what can happen with a calm mind? You have inner wisdom, which is called insight. These were the insight that caused Sahabas to accept Islam, subhanallah, after hearing one message. Each and every human being has this potential to change within one insight. This is why I'm so passionate about this transformational or paradigm coaching, because it takes us back to our innate resilience that everybody is born with. Children, right? When we see children, then they start learning to walk. How many times they fall? They fall numerous times. They don't give up.
Yeah.
Because children are born resilient. They haven't learned to contaminate their thoughts because of outside circumstances.
Yeah.
So all we need to do is we need to go back and see
Become a
our
child once
innocent
again.
self. Yes. Yes.
Or maybe become childlike again.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I mean, imagine how much confidence they have in them. For example, let's take a example of when they're trying to ride a bike. How many times do they
Yes.
fall down? But they're
Oh, many
resilient. They'll
times.
bounce back. They'll climb up again, and they're very, very confident that they can do it, as if they've been riding it for years upon years. Nobody would be able to make out that this is their first, initial stages of trying to learn a bike. But yeah, there's no stopping for them. Subhanallah, that was a
Exactly.
lovely example, sis. Brings a lot more clarity. Alhamdulillah.
I just want to add one more thing,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
it's relevant. It would serve the audience.
Yeah.
Going back to children, if they have a fight with someone, how long does it take for them to make up and just be friends again?
Yeah.
They don't hold grudges. So this is one of the biggest problems in managing relationship, personal and professional. We hold grudges and we let our ego involve. So when you become resilient, you learn to let go of your ego. You become a very kind person. You become a very compassionate person, and naturally you become, this is why I said this is spiritual, because it takes you back a lot closer to your deen. Subhanallah.
Subhanallah, yeah. And that's the core of everything. Subhanallah.
Yes.
Okay, sis. I think there's a repetition of what we've discussed already, but because I don't want to break the heart of the viewer who sent this question through, I'll just ask it one more time. Maybe you'd be able to address
Okay.
it in a different way. So how
Okay.
can resilience help sisters bounce back on the surface after a turbulent relationship? So can you see the pattern that the sisters who are coming to you to be able to, bring that resilience back in them are also the ones who are suffering from a turbulent relationship, and the kind of questions that we are being asked here to ask you in retrospect are also related to turbulent relationships. So this to me tells a lot about, the kind of relationships that couples these days have with each other. Doesn't seem like they're fulfilling.
And I'm actually not surprised, Hina. To be honest with you, I was working with a entrepreneur who was very successful for running the business, her business, and she wanted to have a work-life balance.
Yeah.
But in the heart of that initial problem, the real problem was the relationship problem.
Yeah.
And how to come back from, how to bring a dying relationship back, or how to bring herself back when she feels like she had emotionally hit the rock bottom.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised if there's a repetition, because we sometimes feel like we have lost something, so that's why we have hit rock bottom. When do we feel that we have hit rock bottom? When you have this overwhelming feeling of disappointment, that whatever you are doing, there's no point. And when they say bounce back, I actually don't like this term, because bouncing back means you actually are claiming for something that you have lost. You haven't lost it. Imagine you are in a room where you are trying to find a way out, but you don't know where to go. And suddenly your hand hit on a button, and that's a light bulb. And the light turns on, and you can see a clear exit. Similarly, when we think that we have hit the rock bottom, that's when we have lost the switch to see our inner resilience. So what I suggest to people who come to me and who say that, due to this problem in my life, I have hit rock bottom. What do I need to do? I will ask them, what is it that is making them feel that they have hit the rock bottom? Initially when I said that we are always feeling or thinking, that's the time when people separate their feeling from their thinking and attach it to, let's say, that trauma. That trauma has caused them to hit their rock bottom. Whatever situation you face in your life, from the power of your thought. I'll give you an example, and this is actually a lady that I was working through my navigator, my national health job in UK.
Yeah.
She was actually a victim, a Holocaust survivor.
Okay.
So she was put into concentration camp. And subhanAllah, she was one of the happiest person I've seen. She's been through horrible things in her life, she and her twin sister. But what happened was, when they both were freed from that camp, imagine her sister, she was in the most depressed state that she could be, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And she has so many health problems. And this second sister, she bounced back really fairly quickly. And I asked her, and she said, well, that was the most horrible time of my life. I don't wish that this happened to anyone. But her PTSD journey was that she embraced her life from a happy start. She realized that she's no longer living that reality. Whereas her twin sister, they were born together, they shared the womb, right? They were twins. But her twin sister didn't bounce back. That's because she chose to live in that traumatic experience for the rest of her life, innocently, bless her, right? But the other one naturally bounced back. So whoever thinks that they have hit rock bottom, they only need to see that this is up to them to either make this their reality or to let go. And if the moment you're ready to let go, for some situations, for example, addiction problems, you want to let go of addiction, it's right, it's fine. It's based on your thought that you have made yourself addicted to that behavior. But then the next step is you do need strategies, you do need support.
Yeah, certainly.
So it's a combination of two things.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, yeah. Of course, if a person is addicted to, say, for example, alcohol or some kind of drugs, obviously they're being put into rehabs, and then at that point in time they're going through a combination of different therapies.
Yeah.
There would be one...
It's just rehab doesn't work, right? Yeah. We know that Alcohol Anonymous in UK doesn't have, a lot of success rate unless a person has willingness. And where does the willingness come from? From your own resilience.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that people have abundant innate resilience in them. They just need to be able to tap into it. And they need to understand that when they start feeling that they've lost something, it's basically that thought process, the negative inner chatter that's going on in their mind, that is basically what is pushing them into a bad place. And if they make a conscious decision, that this place is not for me and I deserve something better, then definitely they'll be able to, think that the only thing that is in their control is their own life. And if they make conscious decisions, positive decisions to, think that they deserve something much better than what is coming, than what they're being exposed to, then definitely it's going to be that one thought process, that one insight that would help them, come into a higher self-esteem, a higher level of confidence as well. Oh, great, excellent. Yeah. So sis, as you said that, one small insight can change people. So then once when they've changed, what keeps them hooked with you then? I know people come, they visit you, and then they're there for life. So what are you feeding them? They're literally hooked onto Aisha Ikram, and so then I need to know the secret recipe to that.
Okay, so the thing is, everybody in different stages of our lives, we have different requirements, right? Someone who has hit rock bottom, that's the end, that's the hopeless state. When you bounce back from the hopeless state, when you have seen the hope and positivity and happiness. Positivity is actually overrated. Emotions, they on their own, they're neutral. They don't have to be negative or positive. We attach meanings to them.
Yeah.
So let's say they're back into this place where they're comfortable with. Now what? We, as being human beings, we always want to go to the next step.
Yeah.
I am a single mom. I have a, alhamdulillah, I love my job, but I'm coaching. Why on earth I'm coaching? On top of coaching, I have, my own web shows. On top of my web shows, I do so many different things.
Yeah.
I run community events. Why on earth I'm doing all that?
Yeah.
Because human beings, they want to grow and contribute.
Yeah.
So when my clients, they come back to me, it's because they want to grow and they want to contribute depending on their goals.
Yeah.
So we can feel overwhelmed because we have a lot of big audacious goals as well. And I just take the excessive thoughts from their mind. And when you take away excessive thoughts, you have so much guidance and wisdom inside you. That's the insight, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly talks to us. We don't see that message because we have excessive thoughts.
Yeah.
So when people come to me, what I do is I facilitate that process where excessive thoughts fall off. And then when you are in this pure place of, bliss and calmness, the message that come to that person is a lot different than when somebody is in a state where they are very, feeling
Anxious,
fearful thoughts or insecure thoughts.
Yeah.
So that's the difference, right? People pay for experience. They pay for the next stage in their life, not for something. And this is something that you have to experience it yourself in order to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So does that mean that you're going to be having a session with me anytime soon then?
Inshallah, yes. I would love to.
Yeah, I would love to definitely try
I'm
that
a
out.
coach. I have coaches. So you see, the importance of being coached by other coaches.
Absolutely,
So yeah.
even coaches need coaches. Absolutely, agreed 100% to that, sis. All right, then, sis, I'm sure that the viewers have definitely benefited from all the information that you've shared. And so people like us who would like to, explore the services that you provide, how do we find out, where does Aisha Ikram dwell? Ooh.
So Aisha Ikram dwells as aishaikram.com. So it's literally my name, AYESHAIKRAM.com. So on my website, I have lots of resources, including an hour-long free training, which breaks down resilience into 3 steps. You have a lot of, I do web shows. You can find links to that, because resilience has so many topics. Resilience comes under what do you do when you're trying to establish a business, when you want to, let go of trauma. So there's so many different topics that you can go and educate yourself. And if people want to contact me, then obviously you can send me email at ask@aishaikram.com for any question that you may have.
Okay, inshallah, khair. Lovely having you on board, sister, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you and having a meaningful, fulfilled kind of a session with you, inshallah, sometime soon.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair, and I wish you all, very best. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on board. जी नाजरीन, तो हमारे साथ थी आयशा इकराम. उन्होंने आपके साथ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट इन्फॉर्मेशन, बड़ी बेनिफिशियल इन्फॉर्मेशन शेयर की है, हाउ टू बिकम इमोशनली रिजिलियंट. कि जब आपकी ज़िंदगी में आप किसी भी किस्म के तकालीफ और मसाइल से गुजरते हैं, हम सब गुजरते हैं डेली बेसिस पे, हमारी ज़िंदगी में जो है वो अप्स एंड डाउन्स चलते रहते हैं. तो फिर उस सूरत में क्या करना चाहिए? क्या हमें अपने आप को अपने हालात के हवाले कर देना चाहिए? एंड देन वी बिकम अ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ दैट सिस्टम, एंड देन वी ट्राई टू शंट आवरसेल्व्स इनटू दैट विक्टिम मोड, और फिर बकाया पूरी ज़िंदगी हम एज अ विक्टिम करके गुजार दें, एंड देन कीप सल्किंग एंड सॉबिंग कि ये भी सही नहीं हुआ, वो भी गलत हो गया, वो भी गलत हो गया. तो या तो हम अपनी ज़िंदगी इस तरह से नेगेटिविटी के हवाले करके गुजार सकते हैं. दूसरा तरीक़ेकार ज़िंदगी गुजारने का ये है कि हम अपने अंदर इस चीज़ को समझने की कोशिश करें कि हमें अल्लाह सुब्हान तआला ने खूबसूरत तरीके से क्रिएट किया है और हमारे अंदर जो है वो बेतहाशा रेजिलियंस मौजूद है. तो तो जब हमारे कुछ ऐसी चीज़ें जो हमारी अपनी वैल्यूज़ और प्रिंसिपल्स के अलाइनमेंट में नहीं होती, हमारे प्रिंसिपल्स के अगेंस्ट जाती हैं, तो फिर हम जो है वो पानी का जो करंट है उसके फ़्लो के अगेंस्ट हम नहीं जाते, हम सब्र करते हैं, वहाँ पे इंतज़ार करते हैं कि जब वो स्टॉर्म गुजर जाए उसके बाद फिर हम अपनी जर्नी को कंटिन्यू करेंगे. सो इन शॉर्ट दैट्स व्हाट इमोशनल रेजिलियंस मीन्स बेसिकली, कि आप अपने आप को इतना पावरफुल अंदर से महसूस करना शुरू कर दें कि आपकी जो अंदरूनी ताकत है वो आपको बाहर की तौर पे भी फिजिकली पावरफुल बना दे. और देन ऑब्वियसली जो भी चैलेंजेस आपकी लाइफ में आएंगे इंशाल्लाह आप उनको पुरअमन तरीके से जो है वो फेस कर सकेंगे. तो इजाज़त चाहती हूँ, इंशाल्लाह अगले हफ्ते दोबारा आपकी खिदमत में मौजूद होंगी. आपकी दोस्त, आपकी सहेली हिना जुनेजो. 4 से 5 के दरमियान एवरी मंडे मुझे आप सहेली के प्रोग्राम पे यहाँ पे मौजूद पाएंगे इंशाल्लाह. अगर आपके पास कोई सवालात हैं हमसे करने के लिए, हमारे गेस्ट स्पीकर से करने के लिए, प्लीज़ फील फ्री टू कॉल इन ऑन तकबीर टीवी चैनल एंड यू कैन बी ईजिली कनेक्टेड विद अस वाया Sky 749. तो इंशाल्लाह अगले हफ्ते के लिए इजाज़त चाहती हूँ. अस्सलाम वालेकुम.